E nā ipo ahi, e nā ipo lauaʻe, e nā lawaiʻa I hihia nā makau. He aloha wela wela kēia e hoʻolele I aku neia o kua pau. Welcome to Nanea Wainohia. This 4-part series on Moʻolelo Hawaiʻi is a collaboration between Ke Alo Piko and Mana Maoli in celebration of Mahina ʻōlelo Hawaiʻi 2023. O ka moʻolelo ke poʻokela o ka ʻōlelo Hawaiʻi. The stories our kupuna wrote and left for us in the Hawaiian language newspapers are part of the rich intellectual traditions that they left for us, and they talk about the human experience in ways we can all relate to. Moʻolelo kahiko can also be tricky to read and interpret, so we're sitting in conversation with friends and unpacking Moʻolelo Hawaiʻi near and dear to them. O Mānaiakalani Kalua, kuʻu hoa walaʻau I kēia lā. He's a kumuhula, a kumukula, a paʻa moʻolelo who can help you ka your life. And the list goes on. Ke aloha wai olu ia ʻoe kuʻu hoa e kau I nohea o nā hilo.
Oh, mahalo. Ke aloha ia ʻoe kekahi.
Mahalo anui ka hiki loa ana mai aneʻi I ko mako hale mele mele I ke alo o lai ahi.
Oh, nani no ia hale kupu nei.
Mahalo anui. I mea e kamaʻaina I ka poʻe a ʻoe, olu. E haʻi mai I ko ʻaina hānau a hānai no hoʻi, no hea mai ʻoe.
No hilo hoʻi au, no ka ʻaina hana kahi, no ka ipo a kulukulua I ke one holu o wai o lama, ka noa I one hinano o ke au kaha.
Ho! Ke ano ka ʻōlelo ana mai, mamake wai, kipa I ko ʻaina. Ua kipa e a ka. You know, nui kona mau nani e ike ai. Ma mua o ka lele ana I loko o ka moʻolelo o kēia lā. Hokahi aʻu ninau ia ʻoe. Why do you read and love Moʻolelo Hawaiʻi, and why are they important? The ninau
nui. So for me, I read Moʻolelo. I love the imagery. I love the mele that are held in our Moʻolelo. And I like the action. I like that we have, a lot of varying Moʻolelo, different types of action. That's sort of the thing that intrigues me the most, I think.
So mele and sort of what our kupuna were up to.
Yeah.
In all different facets of life.
Word choices, fun things to do.
So much, yeah, inside Moʻolelo. Okay, mahalo anui. No laila, o ka Nanea Wainohia o kēia lā, ʻoia hoʻi, he Moʻolelo Kaʻao Hawaiʻi no Halemano, which was printed in Kealakaʻi o Hawaii in 1928. And I didn't see an author listed. Maopopo nei ia ʻoe, ka mea kākau o kēia Moʻolelo?
Ale wau maopopo I ka mea kākau no ia
kēia
mana Moʻolelo I loko o ka nū pepa. And ale wau maopopo I ke kupuna hea I haʻi aku I ka moʻolelo iā Fornander. Ka mea ʻana I paʻi ai.
Aia no I loko kāna puke kekahi. Yeah, so kekahi kanaka no hea lā mai, kas ka nui o kāna mau moʻolelo I hoʻopaʻa ai no Molokaʻi mai a? Kekahi hapa.
Kekahi hapa nui ai no Molokaʻi.
But maybe he was pili to some o ahu kupuna as well. So yeah, this moʻolelo actually takes us to a few places, which is a beautiful thing. Kēia manawa e olu e hoʻonanea mai ʻoe I a mākou. E noivo ia ʻoe haʻi poko mai I ka moʻolelo, ma ka ʻōlelo Hawaiʻi, a laila summarize mai ma ka ʻōlelo haole I maopopo I ki nā mea apau.
No hea. He hoʻāʻo kēia I ka hoʻopoko ʻana I ka moʻolelo.
Well, and ina o ana kaua, just hoʻonanea mai.
No nui ana e pili ana I ka hoʻopoko ʻana I ʻole wau poina e haʻi kekahi mea,
Nui o ka moʻolelo. Yeah.
Okay, so, o ka mea mua, o wahi o wā ka makua kāne, o kūkani loko ka makua hine, o kēia kanaka keu a kau I no wai anai o ia no hoʻi o Halemano.
Oh, yeah.
O nā makua o kamalala walu, kahiu I hele o puna, ka oi o ka mai kaʻi o nā wā hine ma kahi pai a kahi pai o Hawaiʻi. O ia no o kamalala walu a o kona mau makua, o ia no o hana ka ulua me haʻe haʻe. o kekahi mea hoi hoi a'u. Oia ka launa ʻana, ka hui ʻana o kēia mau kanaka uʻi ʻelua o Halemano hoʻi a o lālā walu i loko o ka moe ʻuhane.
Ai.
So hoʻi o Halemano i ka hia moe, a moe ʻuhane ana ʻoia a hui me kēia wahine uʻi loa o puna ʻoia no o lālā walu. A mau no kēia launa ʻana ea i loko o ka moe ʻuhane. No ia mea ua hele a komo holo pā ka hahana i loko o ana pika. Ua o kana hana ua haʻalele i nā mea apau, haʻalele i ka ʻai, haʻalele i nā wahi mea apau. O kona liʻa, o kona ʻiʻini hoʻi, ʻoia ka hoʻi ana e hia moe a hui me kēia wahine uʻi. Pili mau. A mamuli o kēia mea, ua nā waliwali ʻoia a make, ua pono e hōʻola hou ia e ke kaikuahine aloha, ke kaikuahine akua, wahine akua o lainihi. So hoʻulu hou ʻoia i ke ola, ola mai o Halemano a o ka mea ninau ia paha i ike o lainihi. I ke kumu o kēia nā waliwali ai kona kaikunane. So, o kāna mea hewa, he hakawa o ka Halemano i ʻōlelo ai, ua hui wau me kēia wahine uʻi loa a i koʻu noʻonoʻo no kauaʻi mai ʻoia. No muli o ke ʻano o kona kapa me ke ʻano o kona lei, e lei ia. I ka wehewehe ʻana o Halemano iā lainihi i kēia ʻano kapa me kēia lei ʻōlelo maila o lainihi a ʻole pā kui hewa ʻoe. A ʻole no kauaʻi kēia wahine no puna, no kahi kinakala. Mamuli o ke ʻano o ke kapa a me ka hanu o ke kapa, ke ʻano o ka lei. O ka lei, he lei lehua, pauku ia me ka hala. O ke ʻano o ke kapa, ua manaʻo o Halemano, ua kuhi ʻoia he mahuna, mamuli o ka waihoʻoluʻu a me ka hanu. I ka lohe ʻana o lainihi, i kēia wehewehe ʻana, me ke ʻano o ka lei, maupopo leʻa ʻoia, ike leʻa ʻoia no puna Hawaiʻi.
O ka oʻu holowai me ka...
O ka oʻu holowai o laʻa me ka pū kohu kohu.
Kohu. Ulu ka hoi ke no kapa ba.
Sure. Ano laila, o ka ōkuhi a ke kaikuahine, ʻoia no kēia. Holo wau i laila, huli wau i ia wahine uʻi loa, lawe, hoʻike aku wau i ke alaʻau e hele ai no ke kiʻina i kēia wahine i ipunau. So, kali o Halemano i ka ʻau i wai ʻanai, holo o lainihi, loli ʻoia i kona kino iʻa he lainihi.
Holo me he iʻa lā.
Holo me he iʻa lā, hiki aku i puna. I ka hoʻea ʻana i laila, i ke ʻoia ia lālā walu me ke kaikunane ona o kumukahi. Holoholo ana ma kai, he hala nana ana ina i paʻani wale no ka ʻana. A laila, he mau mea ano piki ka laini e hana.
Nui ka hana a piki ana.
So, au oia, holo oia i kahi o kumukahi, ka ike o lainihi, ahe ho ole o lālā walu i ke kaikunane.
Right.
Ka mea pau ana i noi ai wale no kanahana. Ano laila, holo oia me hei ala ma kahi o kēia keiki o kumukahi, ume oia ale oia i ike i kēia ano i ma mua, ua puni oia i kēia i make oia lawe i ka hale. Ano laila ki i ume haʻi aku i ke kaikuahine, kamalala walu makakao i kēia
Hopu ʻoia.
hopu ʻoia, mālama i loko o kaʻu me ke hoʻi i ka hale.
Pela ʻoia e komo malua ai i loko o ka hale.
Komo malua ai. Kēia ʻana, but when work.
Yeah.
So, komo ʻoia i loko o ka hale, ike ʻoia i ke kela ʻano kēia ʻano, ike ʻoia i ka lei, e ʻano maloʻo ana. Ka mea a Halemano i ike ai i ka moe uhane, ike ʻoia i ke kapa, a laila lilo ʻoia i moa, kau ilo ngau, kau poko ka hale, o ka hana, kau mai kekahi aka, a laila komo hou ma ke ʻano he wahine, walaʻau me kēia kamalala walu, he ʻano pili ma ke pili he mau hoa, paha ke ʻano o ka hui ʻana, a laila noi ʻoia i ke kapa, me ka lei. Hoʻole o kamalala walu i ka lei, but haʻawi me ke kapa ma ka hoʻomaka ʻana, a laila noi hou o lainihi ai ia lawe ia. Ale walaʻau ia, pihā ka hana me ia mau mea i koʻu manaʻo, he hana aloha. Ua lawe ʻoia ke mau mea he maunu i lilo kēia mau, kēia wahine i ke kaikunane aloha o Halemano.
Hiki.
A laila hoʻi ʻoia i waiʻanai me ka ʻōlelo o kēia ke ʻano e lilo ai kēia wahine i iponao. O ka ʻōkuhi, hoa ʻoe i waʻa, he waʻa ʻulaʻula, na mea a pau e hana ia nei, he mau mea ʻulaʻula. So, hoa i waʻa, kālai i mau kōʻie, hana i lupe, na mea a pau o ka wai hoʻoluʻu o kēia mau mea a pau, he ʻulaʻula no. Ula na mea a pau. Ano laila, na kanaka kau ana ma kēia waʻa, ula no. Na malo, ula no. Na hoe, ula no. Ano laila, kau lako a pau ma luna o kēia waʻa holo i puna, hiki mai i puna he mea anu kupanaha hoʻi kēia, ka waʻa ula, me nā kanaka ula ma luna, ula na mea pau.
Kau ka maka o mea lā ea.
O kamalala walu me kumukahi ma. I kēia mau mea, and o ka hana.
Naʻu ia mau mea.
Naʻu ia mau mea, naʻu kela waʻa, naʻu kela mau ko ie, he haia mea e hoʻolele ia nei, he lupe, naʻu ia mau lupe, o e kanana. Ano laila, ai olu o Halemano i ia kumukahi i kēia mau mea, a lilo na mea a pau iaia, a koma i loko o ka hale, pili pū ai me kēia wahine, iloa o kamalala walu. Ano laila, ma kēia manawa, he ano, o koʻa na mana moʻolelo, but ma kēia manawa ano ua lawe ia o kamalala walu.
Me kona kaikunane.
Me kona kaikunane, ma luna o ka waʻanui, because ua hoa ia he waʻanui me he waʻaiki, o ka waʻaiki no kumukahi, ka waʻanui no Halemano no ka hoʻi ʻana.
And pela e lilo ai.
Pela e lilo ai.
Okay, Kalamai, can you catch us up in Moʻolelo Haole?
Oh, sure.
Just since we kind of, piha kēia hai.
Okay, so, real quick. So real fast, Halemano is the child of Wahiawa me Kukani Loko, and Kamalala Walu, which is our other main character, or one of our other main characters. She's from Puna, Hawaii, and her parents are Hanakaulua and Haʻihai. And then she has a baby brother named Kumukahi. Halemano has an older sister named Lainihi, who's a little bit hoʻokalakupua. She's a waena akua. She's got magic powers and stuff.
She's so cool.
Super cool. We all need a Lainihi in our lives.
Need one.
But what happens is, ultimately, the Moʻolelo Haole, this is like dream lover action, like literal dream lovers. Halemano meets Kamalala Walu in his dreams. And, it's said that he is gorgeous to look at. She's gorgeous to look. She's far superior in beauty than everybody else. And they end up meeting in their dreams. Halemano gets so enraptured by her. He doesn't want to do anything else but sleep. He's like refusing to eat.
He's like, food, what is food?
Yeah,
This is my food right
I'm
now.
gonna live off of love. Love will sustain me. Oh, he's gonna cry. But, but I mean, that's what he did, right?
Oh, yeah,
you know, love, early love.
Yes.
That's how, right?
Yeah.
You know, I tease my nieces and my nephews all the time. What you can survive on love. That's what you gotta do, love.
Hey, eat one hamburger here.
Yeah. Eat some real food. But so anyway, he does this, and because he denies everything else, he ends up getting very weak and dies. He ultimately dies. And so his older sister Laini needs to use all of her magic power to bring him back to life. And then so she tries to ask him, like, bro, what the heck is going on? Like, what happened to you? And he's like, yo, so I met this girl in my dream. And she's so pretty. And it's so good when we're together in the dreams. Like, that's all I like to. And so Laini tries to figure out, well, where is this girl? She's like, I'm going to help you out. I'm going to go find her for you.
Because I don't want you to go all crazy.
We kind of have this happening.
Yeah. So I'll go key her.
So she goes, okay, well, where is she from? He's like, I don't even know. What is her name? I don't know. You know, don't even know the name for him. He's just like, you're pretty, we're in. And so he ends up describing what she's wearing.
Yes,
and
I
so
love this part.
He says, you know, so she has like this reddish kapa, and it smells, you know, it smells like the uahi, so I think it's ilimahuna. And she goes, ilimahuna from Kauai? And he goes, well, yeah. And then she has this lei that's lehua mixed in with hala. And so like Nihi hears this, and she's like, brah. Wrong side of the pie, Aina, you looking. And that's not the smell you thought you smelled. And so he's like,
pull that pin, drop another one.
Let's go. Wrong place on the Google Maps. Slap it to the other side. Because she tells him the lei and the kapa that he actually saw and the smell that he's smelling were actually o'u Hawaii ola'a and pukohu kapas that were from Puna, Hawaii. And I want to say that the lei was the giveaway, the lehua and the hala. We see that sort of a lot in a lot of our mo'olelo when people are from either Hilo or Puna on our island, that the lei that they're wearing is lehua and hala. Right. Sometimes get maile inside, right? If it's Hilo, they gotta add maile.
Oh, that's a trifecta right there.
Yeah. So I think that was sort of more the giveaway on, and then the
because get red kapa from different islands, but what was the combination of red plus the lei? She was like, bing, she's like, no, zero in.
It's over there. So basically she tells him, okay, well, I'll go down to Puna for you. She turns into a fish, a laini, super cute unicorn fish with a little frilly horn. I mean, she's cute.
Yeah.
And so
that's probably why the brother see her. He's like, ooh, mili na'u.
Yeah, he's like, I look cute this fish. I've never seen this fish. I want it. It's mine. He's kind of a brat. He's a little bit of a brat.
He get everything he wants.
He get everything he wants. The sister doesn't deny anything. He asks for something, she give him. So they see the fish, he wants it, she puts it in a umeke, take him home. Laini, he gets snuck into the house, she starts to figure out things. She sees the kapa, she sees the lei kind of drying out, and she's like, okay, we got this. So she decides to sneak out, turns into a chicken, jumps onto the top of the house.
Wakes
everybody up, and then flies down or runs down towards the beach and walks up as her vagina
theatrics,
self.
Right? Elaborate rules.
Super drama. I was like, this girl is working hard to get
this
brother
Ike and this woman.
And so she goes in and she basically makes small talk friends with Kamalala Valu, and she figures out all of this things, and she asks for the kapa and she asks for the lei. And at first Kamalala Valu's like, I'm not giving you my kapa and my lei.
And what's gonna happen to me?
Yeah, what's gonna happen to me? And she's like, no, don't worry, just give it to me. And so they're talking, and somehow she acquiesces and gives the kapa and the lei and stuff to Laini. And I have no clue exactly what was done with it because they don't necessarily talk about it in Mo'olelo.
But one can infer.
But we can infer, very highly infer, that they were doing some kind of hana aloha fabulousness. So that so that vagina is gonna be for her brother. And then she goes home to Waianae, tells Halemano, okay, so this is what you have to do. You gotta go make canoes. You gotta go make koʻia floaters. You gotta go make kites. Make sure everything is red.
Gotta be ula ula
Gotta
na
be
mea
ula
apau.
ula and everything. Doing big canoe, small canoe, because small canoe you can give to the baby brother. Because the secret is anything the baby brother like, she give on. She not deny. So if you make things that the big brother gonna like, then he's gonna like you, and then he's gonna be like, you should be his friend because he's fun, and she's gonna be like, sure, why not? And that's kind of what they did.
Yeah.
And then they show up in this fabulous redness, right? The people on board, the paddles, the malos, everything all red. So it's kind of a fabulous. Like I've been down to Kumukai trying to imagine.
Oh, kahiki ana mai o kēia wa'aula.
Yeah, like if this wa'aula is coming around the turn, like it'd be kind of fabulous to see this redness turn around, and I'd be like, oh,
what is this parade
what
coming into town? Yeah.
New desserts. But so ends up he wants everything, right? He wants everything. He's like, oh my gosh, I want a red canoe, and I want red people, and I want red models, and red hoys, and I want red floaters. And what the heck is those things flying around over there? What? They're lupins? I've never seen one. I want those. Yeah. Let's go. So he gets all of these mili for him, and then convinces Kamalalawalu to take Halemano into the house, and they end up, hitting it off. And however he gets her to go, basically he takes her from that point back to waena. So it could be that the hana aloha went work, and she was just like, sure, I'll go with you. It could have been because Kumukai was like, I want to go with my new friend, so she went with Kamalalawalu goes with him. It's like, I don't know, tricking people with donuts, I guess, and cookies. I don't know.
Yeah,
I mean, like me, invite me to lunch. I'm like, yeah, I'll do whatever you want.
Yeah,
I'll come. Food, yes. I'm in.
So that's so much to get her, right?
Yeah,
and this is like only the first sort of third of the mo'olelo, which is so interesting, because it's so much elaborate action just to get her to them.
They built a lot, and then I guess a part of it. Also, you can sort of infer and look into, that it's not necessarily an easy process when you're starting out a relationship, right? Especially if you're the one that needs to go and, you're doing the chasing. So, I don't know.
Yeah. Well, this might be a good spot for this ni now, and maybe we can awana hoi ka mo'olelo. Sure. Because one of the themes in this mo'olelo and in another one that we're going to be talking about is this concept of like, okay, I'm going to take you, I'm gonna aihu you, like through kind of tricky means, and arguably that doesn't really pan out very well. Yeah. So what do you think about that kind? Like, was that kind of typical, and they just kind of crossed their fingers, like, oh, maybe it'll work out, or do you see that as a lesson in sort of how honest we are with each other at the start out of a relationship?
A little bit both ways. Okay. Because I like to think that when R22 were doing all of the hana aloha stuff, and when I say it like that, I just say because, I don't want to pinpoint people I know trying to do hana aloha things, trying to get females or males on this. I'm not going to out nobody, no worry. But I like to think that at least, a couple generations back when that was sort of a common thing, I think even in doing the hana aloha, you can know how to do it, you can know what you need to do. But if you really don't know the other stuff, right, how to foster that relationship in the beginning. Because what you're really going to do if you're like, I'm going to do this because I want this person to love me, or I want them to be enamored with me and only think about me and us. And then you got to think about, well, is that really what I want? Like, do you want somebody to be aimlessly, doting
obsessed with you?
Obsessed? Yeah, obsessive stalker actions sometimes. But it's like kind of be careful what you're trying to get to, right?
Yeah.
How you're trying to get somebody to ume you or puni you or whatever.
Yeah.
So I think it's partially that. But I also think it is a lesson on how you end up meeting people and how you start your relationship. This is definitely a good template for, if you do it like this, might be a little bit rocky. You might not get the best results. You might want to try some other stuff first next time.
Oh, yeah. Well, I think maybe we can stop and just follow out a little bit here, and then we go hoʻi to the ma'ave nui o ka moʻolelo. Because I wanted to ask you on this topic of, young, new, obsessive love that we know Halemano is in because he's, not eating, wasting away. I know that you've used this moʻolelo with Opio in the Lumi Papa to talk about love and these different things. So what are some of the conversations you've had with young people around some of these difficult things that we start to experience either when we hit, when we start to wahine mai or kane mai, we get the feels, all these things, you might fall in love for the first time. So what kind of conversations do you have around this moʻolelo with Opio?
Okay, so those are actually kind of fun sometimes. I have some very colorful Opio that I've been fortunate enough to have as students or who are ohana keiki in my life. So it's sort of interesting because they definitely look at, this is like young love, right? And they're starting to have feels and they're starting to think like every boyfriend or girlfriend that they have is the one and I love them so much. I'm like, you don't even know what love is. Like you're in like honeymoon
hormones, okay?
Yeah. This is all emotional hormones. This feels not discrediting that what they're feeling isn't something, but I was like, this is more infatuation, but work it out. But when we do go through this and you start to see Halemano and Kamalala Valu's interactions, and then you see later on Halemano and Kike Ka'ala's interaction. And then they start to, my students at that point then start to compare like, oh, that's like my boyfriend. He like, I can go no place without him. Every time he let me be around, like they start to the clingy.
Yeah.
And then,
but it's interesting that when you tell the mo'olelo and you talk about it, then puka mai kēia mau mana'o, right?
Yes.
Because if you just go up to them and ask like, hey, pehea kēia pilina me kēia kāne, like mai kai ʻoiai ya ʻoe, like
and
if you niele like that, then they might kind of right?
And then they're normally just
you
like,
have to tell.
Oh no, it's okay. Yeah, we're good.
But you use this mo'olelo and then boom, you get the inside scoops.
Exactly how it is. Or they'll do I had this one student that was like, Kumu, that was like that boy the one was chasing me last semester that was trying to, slide into my DMs and that's how they talk. And she's like, yeah, like fun stalker vibes, Kumu. I was like, oh, okay, well, making you're safe and you're malamain that that's not gonna work for you. But they can see the correlations, I think, a little easier when it's this. And then it's so much easier for them to have opinions about it. Because then they're not necessarily kālailai their own pilinas in their eyes at the beginning.
Right, they're talking about
this. And then their pilinas are starting to jump in because then it's like, oh yeah, because, like, my boyfriend is kind of like that. He's super clingy. He doesn't let me do anything. Like, I always got to go. And, sometimes I just need a break. Like that. I'm like, oh, okay.
Which is interesting because Halemano struggles with that, right? So they get Kamalala Valu, they bring her back to Oahu with the brada, they pili, they nohopu, and it kind of goes okay for a little while. But then one of the chiefs on Oahu here, like, he wants a piece of the action, right?
Oh, yes.
And I think, he's so obsessed with her, probably spends all his time with her, that, as soon as he hears about somebody else being into her, it's not going to go well for him, right?
Right.
But she says, no, I don't want to go see him. She ho'oles that how many times, and then that ends up actually creating a huge conflict and a war that makes them have to leave Oahu and live on all these different islands and eventually find their way to Hawaii where things kind of settle down, but then boom, get these other guys like wanting her again, right?
Yes.
And so we see him kind of transform. And what do you, like, have you talked with your students about what to do when you got like all these different suitors or all these different love interests, or how to
fight through?
Yeah.
The students that the ones that I've been most recently working with in Ka'ao and Mo'olelo, they're sort of, some of the girls at least were a little bit more mature in it. So they kind of, they're like, oh no, that doesn't work for me.
And they know what they like.
Yeah, they know what they like. They know what works. And so it was sort of cool to see that, because I was thinking to myself, I was like, I definitely didn't get to that point till I was maybe like in college, where I started to figure out like, oh, this works for me, this doesn't work for me, and this is kind of what I want, blah blah blah. And so it was kind of nice to see that. And then for the boys, it's sort of interesting because they would share a little bit about like, oh yeah, no, I don't do that. Like that is not what they're like. He's dumb. Why you gonna do that? That's so much work for it. Like they're like, we don't like work. Forget the girl. She should just want me and the kahi will be good.
My ʻoiai is enough. Yeah.
I was like, that's so kamalala of all of you.
Really?
Let the suitors come to you and work it out. But it is kind of funny because you have them talking like that, and then you see them later on when they have a girlfriend, and then you watch their interactions with the girlfriend, and they're like, sometimes I'm like, I thought you said you don't do that. Like, you're kind of doing it. So I don't know.
Well, it's interesting in love, the things that we say we're not going to do, we end up doing. Right. And the tables turn when he ends up with kike kālā.
Yes.
So maybe hihia waena kaua I laila. So they're living on Hawaii Island. He another man is after her. I think it's Hua'a, one of these Hilo chiefs.
Yeah, Hua'a and Kulukulu are like the Hilo and the Puna chiefs, and they've been trying to woo her from when she was in seclusion over here before Halemano, right? But their attempts didn't work. They're like, we'll give you we'll let you be rulers, stewards of our ʻana, and we'll give all of our vai to you. And she's like, yeah.
Oh, they're really trying to ho'olalela.
They're trying.
But who gets her in the end? The freaking surfer.
The surfer. The surfer that only like Jane.
And the most hilarious part, makea mana, I ho'oia I kai, hui ike oia I ke kanaka, ale oia he na luana. It's like she didn't even see if he's a ripper or not. She just seen he was cute and that he's a surfer. So she's like,
she's like, oh,
can
you. Can you.
And so this is
for all we know, he was just splashing water on himself holding the board.
It could have been all the kind, all show and no go.
Yeah.
But she pili with him, and that is, again, we see Halemano like just go down into the dumps. Vale oya, and he's kind of like back in that thing of like, I can't have her, but I want her.
Yeah.
So it's that thing of, what is really good for us? Like, is this relationship really good
for you? Is it toxic?
Yeah.
Is it not toxic?
So do the opio kind of see this? Do you guys talk about this pattern, and do they see
kind of kind of do, and I do get on my little soapbox about if it's happening one time and you're trying to forget, they're like, no, but he's not really like that. I was like, if it happens again, girl, he's like that.
Right.
Like,
signs is clear.
No matter how many times he try to tell you he's gonna change, not gonna change. It just sometimes that's just how. Or even for the boys too, sometimes, because we had this one boy was talking about his ex. But they would like break up, go together again, break up, go together again, break up, go together again. And every time they broke up was the same thing. And so
he was crushed.
And he was crushed, and he's like, she always does this. I'm like, maybe you should think about it. It's not good. Like, you can still be friends or whatever, but the relationship is not going to work. Like, I'm helping you out.
Yeah.
You don't want to wait till you're older to realize that you're still going on and off with the same girl and it's not working. Cut your losses early. But so looking at what actually works, what is toxic, what is not toxic, like how to see patterns and how to make sure that, we don't fall into those same patterns continuously.
Wow, yeah. We do see him change though, right? And the transformation that he goes through, even though he's down in the dumps, he wants to get her back.
Well, he does the same thing because he goes back into his vali, and I'm going to die a slow death. Right,
and like he got to hold
him one more time because he's like, except this one wasn't so much that he wanted to go back and drink to be with her. He was just depressed, right? And then, and then you're looking at, okay, he's so depressed. He just doesn't want to, he's literally withering away. Dies, he has to bring him back to life. And then, then he gets like the little nuhu action from his sister and his grandmother, because grandma kind of pops in and she's just like, okay, bro, this is not working. Your sister had to bring you back twice already for the same dumb girl. Like, you don't want to do, we're not dealing with this anymore. And basically the grandma tells him, it's not going to happen again. You die one more time because of her. We're done. We're not bringing you back. It's not worth it. So you better learn. And you better learn now. So then he's like, I'm going to try and win her back. And the grandma's like, don't do it.
Right.
Like, that girl will never walk back in my house kind of action, right?
Yeah.
The grandma's like that. And then he's like, I'm going to go and I'm going to go be a mahi'ai, or I'm going to be a lawai'a because I want to be able to provide for her. And I think she'll come back to me if I can provide for her. And the grandma's like, no, that's not the ticket, babes. And first of all, you're not trying for her. Second of all, that's not what you need to do. She tells him to go and learn hula.
Being the answer to all.
The answer to all, at least according to Halemano. I would agree a little, for sure, on this. But she basically tells him to go to hula. And so he ends up learning from la'amai kahiki, right? Like hula of all kumuhulas.
Right.
And he excels. He becomes, he picks it up. He's fully adept at it.
And but he transforms too, right?
Totally.
So like, how do you see the hula as this thing that transforms him into? Like, it doesn't completely transform him, but I think it starts a change in him.
I believe it totally starts the change. And I think it gives him an awareness and a deep dive, internal look for him, introspective look on himself and how to deal with his emotions. And I know for me as a hula person, being able to actually pull off a chant or pull off a dance. I mean, you can do the technicals all you want. You can do the technicals for the chanting with your voice. You can do the technicals with the footwork and the hands for your hula. But if you're not actually like connecting into the essence and the emotion and what the imagery of the actual text, I mean, you could sound pretty and still not connect, and that,
and other people are not going to feel
it. They need to feel it, and the only way they're gonna feel them is if you feel it, and if you can put yourself in the situation. Like it'll be hard for someone who's never felt, blissful love, if they try to do like a blissful love chant. You're not gonna feel it. You're just gonna be like, oh, that's a pretty chant.
Yeah.
Or like with loss, right? If you've never lost love or a loved one, it's hard to do those kinds of chants because the emotion isn't there. So there's a little bit of a disconnect. Technically be doing everything right, but don't really feel anything.
So as a dancer then, I mean, if you're faced with a chant or a mele that like might have something in it that you haven't personally experienced, do you still kind of, as you do it, access a similar experience that then helps you to bring that feeling through? Like, how does that work?
I do that up until I get to a point that I've actually experienced the thing or something. I mean, like it gets, or I'll put myself into a situation to try and feel it, which is not the smartest. I do not advise people doing that. But I have tried to purposefully put myself in situations to try and instigate that feeling so that I could actually feel it and be like, oh,
this is what's happening. Yeah.
Or, it's great. I don't know.
Yeah.
But I've sort of done that. That's not, I wouldn't suggest anybody to go.
I think something internally changes in him though, right? Like he must learn something about himself through the process, because then he gets into he's this beautiful male hula, he's kind of kaulana, he's got this leo. He ends up in this kilu game with this other girl who he's been flirting with.
Yes.
And then the tables kind of turn in terms of their relationship.
Okay, so that would be Kike Ka'ala. So she's like Big Chief from Koala's daughter, and she's very olu olu. She's very ha'a. She's not ever described as pretty as Kamalala Valu, but I mean, she's not ugly. How do they say it? I think they said something like she's comfortable to look at or something like that. Or, easy on the eyes, something like that. And I'm just like, she doesn't get the accolades that Kamalala Valu gets. But she's not ugly.
And she has other qualities.
And she has other qualities because she's super olu olu. She's ha'a. She's very maikai oloho, like everything about her. She's loko maikai. She's generous. She's everything. But yeah, so her and Halemano are hanging out in Kohala, which is where Kamalala Valu actually dug out with the surfer. That's when she's like, "Oh, you're cute. I'm gonna go with him. But peace, Halemano." So she's off doing her own thing. He ends up meeting Kike Ka'ala. And then they're flirting, they're kind of liking each other, and he's realizing that she's everything that Kamalala Valu wasn't, because Kike Ka'ala is more doting to him. Like, she pays attention to him, and she's affectionate towards him, as opposed to Kamalala Valu, who's a little, standoffish, and she's more like, oh, look, shiny new toy on this side. Look at the surfer. Let's play over here. So she's a little bit more fickle, right? Kamalala Valu is a little bit more fickle in her love, and Kike Kala tends to be a little bit more devoted and doting, and she wants to malama him, and she's like, you know what? She's trying to make things happen, and then they end up playing Kilu, right? So I think my favorite part in any story that has Kilu, that's gonna be my favorite part.
Because these mele that pukamai are just beautiful,
gorgeous. I'm like, so I had this conversation with the OPO that I was working with, and I told them, you like talk about singing, because some of them, they sing, so they're like, oh yeah, I sang this song to my girlfriend last night, and I'm like, you want to sing a song to your girlfriend? Sing like this. Sing lyrics like this. This will show
when you
how much
your
you
mele, try study this story, okay?
This shows love. This is like depth of love.
Because helu ʻoiai na mea like ʻole alau I hanai I alo puai.
Yeah, mai kahi moku a kahi moku a ma kela hua kai mai oʻahua ai Hawaii.
Yeah. And nani.
And this is the 1,000 ways that I love you. I was like, you gotta be like a lyrical genius to do stuff like this. And really know your emotions, and really know how these emotions affect you, and how does it transfer, and does it transfer? Because, Halemano in this Kilu game is, well, okay, so they're going to make side bet, right? So Kilu, you're supposed to win. And then when you win, the prize is the kanaka, right? So checking genealogies, we're checking, making sure everybody's beautiful and worth winning as a prize. You make it in the door, you're good. If you didn't make it in the door, you get to watch from outside, but you're not a playing piece or a prize. And then basically they're all in there, but Kike Ka'ala and Halemano Kike Ka'ala suggests that they kind of rig the game. So
I missed that.
It's a fun one. So she basically tells Halemano prior to walking in, she's like, okay, so we'll go in and play, because it's pretty much free for all, right? Kilo is play for anybody.
Yeah.
But she says, okay, so we'll play, but if I win, I'll choose you. And if you win, you choose me. So Halemano's like, okay. And so that sort of became a topic of conversation for my students, because they're like, well, why would you go into Kilo in the first place if you're going to rig it to go home with your boyfriend or your girlfriend anyway?
Right, what's the fun in that?
Because, I mean, the whole point to Kilo is, this is your pass. This is your pass for the night. Go have a good baby with good genes. Come back to me tomorrow morning.
Right.
Like, that's how it should work.
Yeah.
So my students are like, why would you rig it? And so I think one of my female students, right, she kind of just went, she goes, because she's insecure and she's afraid that he's going to go find somebody else. And then when you get into the Halau Kilu, what happens, they're like mid-play, and in walks Kamalala Valu. And, drama ensues, tables are turning, and Halemano starts to, get feels again for her. And Kamalala Valu at this point is like, you look a little bit more hot now, Halemano. Like, something about your new skills, like you can chant now, you can dance, something looks really fabulous at this point. And so they start to get into it, back and forth. Meanwhile, Kike Kala is sitting over there, and she's like, I know you're not chanting to her, and I'm sitting right here. Because everybody knows, right? This is
that's what's going on.
This is like, Facebook, social media drama So, TikToks. That moment when she walks in, and you're like, I'm going to knock her out with a chair or something. So it's basically going on.
Not Jerry Springer.
Yeah, Jerry Springer. But Halemano basically starts turning his attention towards Kamalala Valu. And Kamalalawalu is all about the I'm gonna try and win you. And basically Halemano wins. He's more skilled than everybody. Oh, he wins first. But he honors his agreement with Kikekala.
Yeah.
And she's looking at him. She's like, you said you was going to pick me, right? You picking me?
Yeah.
And he tells her, yes, I'm going to pick you. So they start to go out. Kamalalawalu does her last ditch. I'm going to try this.
Trying.
She started losing her mind a little, goes a little bit psycho crazy, and basically runs across the halau kilu, chanting her guts out about how ugly Kikeka'ala is and why he should just stay with her and go back to her. And Kikeka'ala does this little bite action. Sorry, they call it a nahuake kupa in the ka'ao. But, so my sister said, like she bit him, like for bite him. I said, well, I mean, let's think about it. So my sister said, like, what do you mean? I said, what is a mark that maybe you or your other potential partner may have placed on you that may not have been an actual bite, but it's caused because of biting and other things. And then so they started laughing. They're like, oh, you're talking about Hiki's kuba. I'm like, yeah, that's the Nahuake kuba, but really. But Kikeka'ala basically bites into him, whether it's on his neck, on his side.
She's coupling him.
I say, why would you do that? I was like, that's like the big cup. I was like, no, it is mine. I said, you know when people bring out dessert and you like lick your finger, stick your finger inside, and you're like, no, mine, because then nobody wants to touch it? Same thing. I said, that's what the hikis are doing when you go out.
Yeah. And it pretty much works, right? He goes home with Kikeka'ala.
Yeah. And she gets dragged out by her hair by the refs and the brother, and they're all like, stop making a shame, girl. And she's like, but I want you. It's very dramatic in my head.
The high drama. So he goes home with Kikeka'ala, but it doesn't quite work out between the two of them, right? Like
because she gets clingy.
Super clingy. He don't like to be with her. He basically bounces from the hale. And he's had these two different experiences, right? One wahine who could give a damn really. Like she thinks she wants him, but she can go for the next guy, right? That's her pattern. Kikeka'ala, who is like, I want you so much, I'm going to suffocate you. And so what kind of transformation does he go through? Is he over both of them?
So sort of. So he ends up, how he bounces from Kikeka'ala, he's like, okay, I gotta go holo because like I'm going fishing. I'm going to pick up something.
I gotta get out of the house.
Because she doesn't want to let him out of her sight. Like she starts to, her insecurities basically get the better of her, and she doesn't want to let him go because she has this fear that he's going to run back to Kamalalawalu. So he kind of he's like, no, it'll be faster if I just go by myself. You stay home, I'll be right back. He leaves, doesn't come back. He's like dashing across the Alenui Haha for Maui. Meanwhile, Kamalalawalu, after this kilo game, is like, I'm going to get Halemano back. So she goes back to Kohala to try and find him. Finds out that he's dashing across to Maui. So she jumps on a canoe and she starts chasing him. But as they're going away, when Halemano lands on Maui, he takes the corner route to go around the island. When Kamalalawalu comes chasing him, she ends up taking the Ko'olau route around the island because she's not really sure. She knows he's going in that direction, but she thinks she's going on one side, and he's actually on the other. And so they do this on every island, Molokai, Oahu, until they get to Kauai. And she finally catches up with him on Kauai, and she kind of begs and pleads him to take her back. She's like, come on, give me another chance, and blah, blah, blah. And he looks at her and he's like, I mean, we could try, but I'm going to tell you right now, it's not going to work. Like, I realize that you don't work for me. And so good luck with your life. He tries to wish her happiness. He digs out. She tries to chase him again to Oahu. She ends up meeting with the chief kanaka that was trying to chase her in the beginning. She meets up with some other chiefs in Ko'olauloa and sort of just jumps in with them. And she's like, okay, well, we're going to go with you. And then that's not working out because that's a toxic relationship for her. And the two guys from the beginning, Hua'a and Kulukulu'a, find out, come to Oahu, pick her up, drag her back to Puna. End of the story there. But it's kind of cool because Halemano in this journey starts to realize these things, right? He's like, I like this about Kamalala Valu. I loved her beauty and I liked her, but the emotions and the everything like was just too toxic. Not gonna do it again. And then you have Kike Ka'ala that doted on him, but then she's clingy, and he's like, that doesn't work for me either. I feel suffocated. I don't like the clingy. But the huaka'i part, so like what we see in journeys, huaka'i like hi'iaka. When she goes on her journey, her journey is happening on the Ko'olau side of the island, which is the side that Kamalalovalu is running on, chasing Halemano. But she returns on the kona, basically on the ridge lines of all of our mauna. But all of the returning trip for hi'iaka happens to be on the kona side of the islands. So, that kind of, for me, speaks a lot about the experiential part of the ko'olau, at least in the setup of a ka'au. A lot of times when you're going on your journey to experience, you're experiencing on the ko'olau, and then you're returning on the kona, right? So you're experiencing on the side of the sunrise, you're coming to your closure and your realizations and your metamorphosis, transformation on the kona side where the sun is setting, right? Where there's a pani. So you have like ho'omaka at the ho'omaka and pani at the pani. So I kind of like that.
That is so awesome. That is a beautiful manao. I never really thought about the flow of a story working that way, but that makes so much sense. Yeah.
It tends to work out like that for a bunch of them. I mean, I'm sure there's going to be ku'es to everything, but that definitely works for the hi'iaka one.
Oh yeah, no. Oh, mahalo a nui a ʻoe kuʻu nui na mea hoihoi loa o kēia moʻolelo. Things about, how we maybe want to be in relationships, don't want to be, figuring out what we like, what we don't like, and growing as people through all of these love experiences.
Well, being able to be honest with ourselves, right? Because how honest are we really in today's day and age? How honest are we with our emotions, with what we're feeling, with how we're expressing how we're feeling, right? A lot of times, I mean, maybe not us, but a lot of times people in general tend to be maybe not quite as honest or open about it.
Yeah, that's important. Important for us to really, really be honest and really embrace wherever it is we're at. And, live that.
And be okay with it. And be like, I mean, I'm a little broken, but
But we go around them.
But we can work it out.
Mahalo piha ia ʻoe kahiki ana mai nei kēia lā ua nui
ʻole.
Ai. Aia o kou e nā kini makamaka e nana ai hoʻolohe mai ana. Mahalo nui kēia hui ana o kākou. There's an episode of Nanea Wainohia dropping each week of Mahina ʻōlelo Hawaiʻi, so check out Kealo Piko and Mana Maoli on Instagram for more. For links to all the moʻolelo on these episodes, visit the moʻolelo page of kealopiko.com. And we send a special mahalo to Mana Maoli Ma for supporting this series and for their technical expertise. Check out their incredible work at manamele.org. E nā hoa, e hi'i ana I ka leo o iwi to all those learning and loving ʻōlelo Hawaiʻi, e kā mau ihu I ka hoe, a e noke mau I ka helu helu. Ke aloha nui kākou.